Nigeria's President Bola Tinubu has been appointed the new chairman of ECOWAS, succeeding President Umaru Embalo of Guinea-Bissau, who held the position since July 4, 2022. In his inaugural speech, President Tinubu reiterates that democracy is the best form of government. This momentous leadership transition was officially announced as the 63rd ordinary session of the regional bloc in Bissau, the capital of Guinea-Bissau. State House correspondent Adesua Morwa reports.
Nigeria's President Bola Tinubu and other regional leaders arrived for the 63rd ordinary session of the Authority of ECOWAS Heads of State and Government. With violence on the rise across the region, security tops the agenda. The region's politics are also being reviewed, with the status of transition in Mali, Burkina Faso, and Guinea after military coups overthrew the civilian government in the three countries. But first, acknowledgement of significant events that have unfolded since the last ordinary meeting in December 2022 and the extraordinary sessions held during the African Union Summit in February, including the general elections in Nigeria.
I would like, therefore, to welcome President Tinubu to his first meeting of the ECOWAS Authority. On behalf of the community institutions, I would like to extend our felicitation and best wishes in piloting the affairs of Africa's biggest economy and the largest country, the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Warmly congratulate our brothers President Ahmed Bola Tinubu of Nigeria and Julius Maada Bio of Sierra Leone on the election and their election respectively to the supreme magistracy of their country, and wish them great success and considering the fact of these two great brothers people.
The meeting, which records the highest attendance of heads of state and government in recent times, also considers the financial situation of ECOWAS, the implementation of the African Continental Free Trade Area, matters pertaining to the impending withdrawal of the UN peacekeeping mission from Mali, as well as the ECOWAS single currency program. Among the decisions taken at the session is the election of Bola Tinubu, President of Nigeria, as the chairman of the Authority of ECOWAS Heads of State and Government. President Tinubu, in his remark, emphasizes the need for the region to take democracy as a form of government seriously.
We will not allow coup after coup West African separation. We will take this up seriously with African Union. Take it up. It's a challenge. Yes, democracy is very tough to manage, but it's the best form of government. And we also ascribe to it.
Tinubu also highlights the importance of private sector-led economic growth and the promotion of trade, investment, and business cooperation among member states.
We work collectively to pursue inclusive economic integration of West Africa sub-region. We should serve a warning to exploiters that our people have suffered enough. We should make a pledge here that in furtherance of our region's economic recovery and growth, we will commit to democracy and promote democracy and rule of law. I am with you. In Nigeria, we are back.
President Tinubu's new role as ECOWAS chairman has been hailed by his counterparts. His one-year tenure comes at a time when the organization faces various challenges and opportunities, including addressing security issues, fostering economic integration, and promoting regional cooperation. Adesua Omoruan, Arise News.
All right, a lot to talk about. Dr. Bati?
Okay, first, congratulations to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu on his emergence as the chairman of the Authority of Heads of State and government in West Africa, ECOWAS, 15 member states, representing over 387 million people, 15 countries are involved. But the position is also for Nigeria, so, congratulations also to Nigeria. It's done on a rotational basis from the Lusophone, now it's come to the Anglophone, and you also have the Lusophone. So you have the Francophone, the Anglophone, the Lusophone, 3 major language zones. So now it's an Anglophone president who has taken over. A number of things. One, the objectives set out by President Tinubu. One, that he would serve the interest of the community. I think that is very important. Some other presidents who were ECOWAS chair, used the position not necessarily to serve the interests of the community, but to promote, their own country's interests. But, it's a platform that is to be used, to represent the entire region and to try to achieve the objectives as outlined in the Treaty of Lagos and the Treaty of Cotonou, which is a revision of the Treaty of Lagos of May 1975. President Tinubu, in that regard, talks about peace and security. Of course, peace and security are very important. He talked about a security framework that will be strengthened further to ensure better cooperation among West African states. 2, he talked about good governance within the context of the fact that there have been issues with military interventions in some of these West African states, ECOWAS state members. And you will find that, those state parties where we have had issues, ECOWAS has not been able to provide the necessary leadership to put his feet down and ensure that objective of peace and security and, better fight against terrorism. So President Tinubu, again, puts his hand on it. The third thing that he talked about robustly is the promotion of trade and investment. After all, one of the original objectives of ECOWAS was to ensure economic integration. But because of differences, among these countries, in terms of priorities and other affiliations, that economic integration has not worked very well. And in this light, President Tinubu, on behalf of Nigeria, is proposing that there will be an extraordinary summit in Abuja in October, where the focus will be on trade and investment, among ECOWAS members. I think that again, is a very good objective. However, some other people will have other views in terms of what, the president should do. President Tinubu has a responsibility to strengthen leadership at the level of ECOWAS. As I pointed out earlier on, that leadership has been very shaky. Now, number 2, it's a 1-year tenure, but some other, countries have spent 2 years. After all, Alassane Ouattara spent 2 years, I think. I think Macky Sall also spent 2 years in the office. I think General Abacha, when he was ECOWAS chair, also spent about two years. But all of that will require the endorsement of other member states. Another thing that President Tinubu may well take a look at has to do with the situation at the ECOWAS Commission. Now, whereas the leadership of the Authority of Heads of State is based on zonal rotation, that of the ECOWAS Commission is done in an alphabetical manner. And there have been calls that there must be reform there, because if you go alphabetical order, you could have a situation whereby the Francophone, for example, would dominate the ECOWAS Commission for years. So one of the reforms with ECOWAS will be to make, ECOWAS Commission more representational, more reflective of the diversity within the area. Of course, many countries look up to Nigeria. Nigeria accounts for about 60% of the budget of ECOWAS. And so President Tinubu also at a personal level, in representing ECOWAS and in strengthening that body, needs to provide strong leadership and live up to the words that he has put out there in his inaugural statement. Another thing, of course, is to look at it from the Nigerian perspective. Now, President Tinubu becoming ECOWAS chair 41 days after he assumed office. First, he went to the Paris summit. That's an international summit. Now, this is his first outing, diplomatic outing in Africa, and he emerges as ECOWAS chair. Well, it is easy to see some linkage between ECOWAS chairmanship and the fact that perhaps it further consolidates his position as president of Nigeria, even if ECOWAS is not in a position to take part directly in the voting process in Nigeria. But in terms of the optics, the strategists who have been, I see they've been hyping this, they've been milking this, and that's, understandable because it further consolidates his position. He's not just now president of Nigeria, he's also now chair of the ECOWAS Authority of Heads of State. So he has both local responsibility, he has international responsibility in a position where he can further strengthen Nigeria as leader within the ECOWAS region. But of course, some other people will say this is one of the reasons why they argue that all matters relating to elections should be resolved before inauguration, because it looks like President Tinubu is further consolidating. And even if we don't establish that direct link, in terms of the optics, in terms of the signaling, his position is further strengthened.
All right. Once again, Arise TV has won another award from Report Her, and this, the things we got from the award. So congratulations to Arise TV, a laptop, and this. Thank you so much. It's for inclusion. Women reported more and gave more prime media space, aimed for fair reporting of women in society. Real quickly, so I'll continue from where Dr. Bati stopped. Yes, good look, good optics, and President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, but we must also have to respect the fact that the cases are still in court in Nigeria. All the parties just submitted their depositions. They've been told now to file their last concluding papers before the court will make its decision, and Nigerians will be waiting to see the court decision. But real quickly about ECOWAS. Yes, we've talked a lot about ECOWAS. Started in 1975. A lot has happened. Nigeria holds a prime spot in ECOWAS because in the over 400 million population of the ECOWAS region, with about 5 million square kilometers of land, Nigeria takes half of the population. So no bones about it. Nigeria definitely will have to make up half of, over 60% of the budget, a little over 60% of the budget of ECOWAS. Nigeria is the most dominant economy because when you put all the economic strength of the ECOWAS nation together, Nigeria is arguably the biggest economy in the ECOWAS sub-region. About 400 billion GDP. Countries like, countries like even the last leader of the chairman of ECOWAS, countries like Guinea-Bissau just have about $3 billion in GDP. Cote d'Ivoire has about 70 to 80 billion thereabout, and Nigeria makes up a sizable part of it. And when you aggregate the numbers, the GDP of the entire region will be about 700 billion or 800 billion worst case scenario, tops that amount. But ECOWAS has its own challenges. A lot of the challenges like Dr. Batis talked about. But the most important challenge is the goal before it, the 2050 vision. And what's the 2050 vision? We want harmonization of the region. Has ECOWAS been able to do a lot of work as regards harmonization of the region? No, because they are disparate contending forces where the colonialists still hold sway as regards the happenings in ECOWAS. They muted an idea of a currency, ECO. But there's been a big colonialist backlash. A couple of years ago, President Macron came and he went to Abidjan and he made some declarative statement that angered Nigeria as regards even the ECO. The fact that most of the country, out of the 15 member states, a sizable portion of them are using the West African CFA. Even Guinea-Bissau, that is a Lusophone country that was colonized hitherto by Portugal, uses the West African CFA. So the French people have been able to push their dominance and their politics in the ECOWAS sub-region. And that's why a lot of things do not fly. So in consonance with the 2050 vision, how can we break free from the mindset of colonialism is one of the biggest challenges in ECOWAS. It's not that we don't come together and talk, but once you come together and talk, most of the other nations have to check with France because one, their currency is domiciled in France. Secondly, general spread of wealth. It also goes back to the colonial encumbrances. Countries like Cote d'Ivoire, countries like Mali, Burkina Faso have a lot of ties with France. So inter-ECOWAS trade even becomes problematic. And go and check the numbers. All of these ECOWAS nations that are French-speaking check their trade with France vis-a-vis their fellow ECOWAS partners. is problematic. So how we can sort that out is also another problem. Another problem we're having is even governance and administration. These are the things that were talked about in the 2050 vision. ECOWAS wants to have e-governance, accountability in governance and all of that. Anyway, that's of the remit of the individual states. Insecurity in the region. We know the story of what happened in Guinea with Tombabaye. And we also know what happened in Mali. Today, both of them are outliers. In fact, we have a lot of encroachment in the ECOWAS region as regards different non-state actors. We all remember what happened in Mali. First, the political struggle that led to Tuareg rebels dominating most parts of Mali. And guess what Mali first did? They didn't call in their fellow ECOWAS partner to come fight. They called in François Hollande. This was in 2012. And he brought in his French fighter jets, the Raphael fighters, to first clear out the rebels. And afterwards, France set up something called Operation Barkhane that just wound up. But despite that fact, we still have a lot of insecurity. It was said in 2019, over 4,000 people died due to non-state actors in the ECOWAS sub-region. How can we bring peace back? A lot of people have mooted the idea of ECOMOG. Because one of the joys of ECOWAS back in the early 2000s was when strife broke out in most parts of Africa, we set up a force like ECOMOG to make some appreciable gains. But is that still the same? Also, the dichotomy between the Anglophone and the Francophone. We don't really talk about the Lusophone because when you check the 15 member states, Lusophone probably will be Bissau and Capo Verde. And a part of even the Lusophone have been brought together in the French community. And that's why I told you about Bissau spending West African CFA. But the dichotomy between Francophone and Anglophone is another matter that ECOWAS needs to sort out for integration if we want to make this Vision 2050 a reality. And that's why we're still falling short as regards it. So as we look forward to 2050, if ECOWAS can achieve that, I believe ECOWAS has the capacity before 2050 to be a 1 trillion GDP regional body. It is possible. Currently, we are not there. Nigeria, 400 million, like I stated. And if you put the cumulative effect of all the other economies, be Senegal, 16 billion there, about pockets of billions there, it's not up to 1 trillion. But we can be a 1 trillion regional body. And we can open up the sub-region, spread across over 5 million square miles of land with a lot of mineral deposits across the region. If we really open it up, we can achieve that 2050 dream. But that 2050 dream of ECOWAS might be a mirage if we don't consolidate, we don't work together, and remove the shackles of colonialism. We need to emancipate ourselves from the mental slavery of colonialism that still holds us sway, so that we can bolster the prospect of ECOWAS and bolster the prospect of Africa and bring peace back to the region. But as it is today, congrats, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. ECOWAS, as we speak today, is encumbered with a lot of challenges, and how ECOWAS sorts its challenges out will be how it will look to the future. So other stories, former Chief of Defense Staff General Lucky Irabo received a heroic welcome from the Ika Nation of Delta State. It happened over the weekend as the community gathered to celebrate some of their illustrious sons. Jemima Boloko has this report.
This is a reception for General Lucky Irabo, who has just retired from a distinguished career from the military. It is a gathering of top military chiefs, members of the political class, traditional rulers, and illustrious sons and daughters of the Ika Nation in Delta State. Speaking at the reception held in his honor, General Irabo gives an assurance that with General Christopher Musa as the new Chief of Defense Staff, the security of the nation is in good hands.
That in CG Musa as CDS, we certainly are well pleased, and the security and defense of our nation is in good hands. The growth and development of the armed forces is in good hands. And so, be rest assured that Musa, along with his team of service chiefs, will do the best to ensure that they increase or escalate the approaches that we have established to ensure that within our nation there will be no incident of insecurity anywhere.
The state governor Sheriff Oborowore says the turnout of dignitaries across the nation and the presence of different clans in Ika Nation, it is a testimony to the love people have for the retired general. He urges the people of the state to emulate the unity of Ika Nation.
Celebrating you back home, is a good thing. When I went to attend your pull-out service, it was a well-attended. A lot of retired generals were there because of what you have done in the armed forces. I want to congratulate you, congratulate the Ika Nation, and also Delta State for having somebody like you.
At his palace, the Dean of Agbo, Benjamin Ikechukwu, says General Igbo has contributed immensely to the security challenges in Nigeria.
As far as I'm concerned, and I'm not being biased, okay, this is what we all saw as Nigerians. We were in a situation where the terrorism around the country was very bad. I think we all can attest, forget that this is Agbo, we all can attest to the fact that when General Agbo came on board, the terrorism went down drastically. So I would like to thank you, my dear son, and General Agbo, for giving us peace. Even the fact that he was from southern Nigeria, my brothers in the north embraced him. It was not a do or die affair. Actually, he was able to bring peace by not only facing the terrorists, but also allowing them to feel that they were being listened to as well.
Irabo served as the Chief of Defense Staff of Nigeria and was appointed by the former President of Nigeria, Muhammadu Buhari, on January 26, 2021. Before he was appointed Chief of Defense Staff, he served as the commander of the Multi-Joint Task Force, which is responsible for coordinating military operations against Boko Haram and other extremist groups in the Lake Chad region. Dignitaries present are 7 and retired generals: Deputy Governor of Delta State, Monday Oyeme, Speaker of the Delta State House of Assembly, Imomotimi Guwo, the Chairman of This Day and Arise Media Group, Prince Nduka Obaigbena, the Obi of Owa, His Royal Majesty Emmanuel Efezemo, Nduka Erabo, and others.
He was theater commander, and when he fought Boko Haram, his mission was have no friend in the battlefield. Your only friend is your rifle. And as we can see, his leadership and that of his colleagues have brought calm to the armed forces. And they have defended democracy. We have continued to thrive in democracy. As we see, a lot of improvement has been achieved in the field of the counterinsurgency. I like to also believe, like someone asked me just now, that what do I think about what he has done in terms of the counterinsurgency? And I say, look, in every job, there's always room for improvement. He has done extremely well. But the new man coming in obviously will look at the entire picture, and he will look at areas of challenges, the options available, how best to move to the next level.
To appreciate General Lucky Erabo for a distinguished service in our fatherland. He has done extremely very well, has represented the armed forces, and especially the Ika Nation. I stand here proudly to associate myself with Ika Nation and to tell you that he has stepped aside, I have stepped in. So you have another son as the Chief of Defense Staff.
Jemima Boloko, Arise News, Delta.
Well, I mean, excellent. The last time I saw General Irabo, he was in uniform, being pulled out, after 37 years in service and very illustrious performance as Chief of Defense Staff. And now, his own people, the Ka people of Delta, Edo State, Delta State specifically here, are welcoming him back home. I think it's, a very good thing to see. There are persons in this country who will go and serve Nigeria at the center. And there are people back home, when they return, will not even take notice of that anybody has returned from anywhere. Because, some people don't have that sense of community. So what is celebrated here, there is a key lesson there for everybody who serves at the national level. Even when you are serving the country, you must still have that sense of home. Because it is home that you will return to, at the end of the day. It will not be nice for you to go back to your home and you are alone. See General Irabo dressed as an Eka prince, or I don't know whether he's even a chief. But we will know that as he continues his career, along other lines. And then, of course, the Eka Nation has so many prominent sons and their daughters, and they all came out, to honor one of their own who has done very well at the center. So it looks like quite, a great occasion, and it deserves to be celebrated. And I like the point he made. 2 points. One, that he has left the armed forces in a better place. Well, Nigerians expect that the armed forces will still do more for Nigerians, for the country, for the general community that we talked about earlier on. That's our role in ECOWAS and in other situations. And then, of course, he commended his successor, General Chris Musa, whom he says, has safe hands. His safe hands can be considered safe hands to continue from where he left off. Well, it's not always that you find, a predecessor, showering encomium on their successors. That's also to show that there is good comradeship, within the Nigerian military, and that being the culture that he has left behind, that is commendable also. And then, of course, it's a kind of personal triumph. Soldiering is a noble profession, but it's also a profession in which you sign off, that you are ready to sacrifice your life, if it comes to that, to protect your nation. Now, that gallantry is at the heart of soldiering as a profession. So, a personal triumph. He went to the battlefield and he returned home, which was a point that he made when he was being pulled out in his, speech, where he paid special tribute to fallen heroes, others who did not make it, who did not, have this kind of privilege of being welcomed back home by their community. We are reminded again of the enormous sacrifice, that the Nigerian armed forces continue to make, so that all of us can be safe, so that the territorial integrity of this country, can be preserved. So General Irabo has been pulled out. He has been received back home by his own people, but the duty of protecting Nigeria, of serving the nation diligently and protecting the Constitution continues.
Right. Before I talk about General Irabo, and congratulations to him, I just wanted to put one footnote to my argument as regards ECOWAS. Number one, I was talking about Lusophone countries. In fact, there are Cape Verde, there's Bissau, and there's also there's Cape Verde, there's Bissau, Cape Verde, there's Guinea-Bissau, and there's Sao Tome. So there are three, countries. And the argument I was making as regards currency, in fact, out of the 15 countries in the ECOWAS, about 11 of them have their currencies pegged to the euro. So Sao Tome, despite the fact that they have a Lusophone colonial origin, Bissau and Cape Verde, they have all their currencies pegged to the euro. So I just wanted to put that up there. What else can I say about the sterling General Lucky Irabo? He served in theater command. I mean, I first noticed his intellectual prowess. And I must have to say, he's one of those generals that's also an intellectual, an engineering graduate, has a firm intellectual background. When he was theater commander, and he was giving daily updates as regards insurgents' activity on television. This was around 2015, 2016. And he did a stellar job, and you knew he was onto great things. I'm happy that his people have rewarded him and celebrated him. And hear what Dian of Agbo said about him. And I must have to commend Dian of Agbo, very stellar king. He has held his own. I mean, I would definitely get a day to shower comiums on Dian of Agbo. He's a great man, very great man. And, you know, hear the things he said about him. The fact that General Lucky Rabo was loved by all. People from the north, from the south, they could trust him because he was forthright in his dealing. And as he goes into retirement, he has said, he gave in a speech that day, that he will continue to serve Nigeria. And he said, this is not the end of service. He's told his wife that day when he gave his own speech at that event, that this is not the end of my service to Nigeria. I will continue to serve Nigeria. I'll continue to uphold the peace of Nigeria and do what it is. So I wish him a happy retirement. I wish him the very best. An old soldier man never goes away. He keeps coming back and he keeps strategizing for the future. Arise News Channel, I've said this before, I've won the media edition of Reporter Awards. Reporter a Gender Balanced Award in recognition of media organizations and journalists who report women and give more prominence to women-related issues. The award, which selected winners in 5 categories of television, radio, print, digital, and journalists, seek to recognize the representation of women and address the need for an objective and gender-sensitive reporting and encourage gender-balanced reportage, which is essential to nation building. The award, which was hosted by Women's Radio 91.7, has a total number of 104 entries and was assessed by a panel of 4 independent judges. Another great one for us, Dr. Batsi.
Yes, congratulations.
Bugait, laptop, we got this.
Well,
Bugait.
maybe that laptop, I should take it away and use it.
Yes. To knock out very
good. I don't see how all of us can use one laptop. Anyway, but I'm joking. Congratulations to Arise News Channel. Yes, you know, and also thank you very much, Women FM, right?
Yes.
As they say it, Women FM, yes, that's how they say it in Yoruba. But in any case, you know, the recognition, I believe, is very well deserved. And this is a point we make all the time, that women constitute about half of the Nigerian population. And in every sphere, whether in reporting, in recruitment, in politics, in reproductive health decision-making, on all fronts, you know, they deserve to be given that prominent, you know, recognition in terms of telling their stories, in terms of centering them, you know, taking them from the periphery to the center, you know, as feminist, womanist literature, you know, seem to recommend for the most part. So this is welcome here at Arise News. Well, what Women FM has reminded everybody is that we are women-friendly and gender-sensitive, gender-inclusive, as you see, you know, from the tone of the reporting and the diversity in the newsroom, the balance, the gender representation in the newsroom here. So thank you very much, Women FM, and thank you also all our viewers who help us to celebrate all the wonderful women of Arise News who are doing great work, quality work. So it's about the reporting, but it's also about the inclusivity here, you know, in our team, in all our studios and in all our newsrooms. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you. Merci beaucoup. Obrigado. Everything. We just can only say thank you. And on behalf of all the great women in Arise, where should I start from? Ayo, Hawa, Tokpe, Oji, the list just goes on and on and on. And everybody out there, you know, too numerous to mention. Thank you. We're all saying thank you. Eshegon, Eshepupo, Dalu, huh?